It's another sunny, beautiful day in ancient Egypt during the illustrious reign of Pharaoh Ramses II. At the bustling dock in Thebes, a boy named Atet is preparing for a great adventure.
Wow, I thought today would never come. My brothers and I are heading down the Nile with our dad. My very first trip. Since I'm missing scribe school, teacher says I need to write everything down and give a report when I get back. So Mom and Dad gave me my very own medhead, a set of writing tools for the trip. It's got reed brushes, a palette, and ink. We always use red and black ink in Egypt. I'm not sure why, but it reminds me of our red and black lands. Most of Egypt is like this, hot and dry. It's pretty easy to see why we call it Deshret, the Red Land. But some of Egypt is like this. It looks green on the top, but underneath is very rich black dirt. We call this land Kemet, the Black Land. It's where we grow all of our crops. If you flew like a bird, you'd see that the Kemet is all along the banks of the Nile River. Dad says that's why Egypt is called the gift of the Nile. Sounds strange, I know, but let me explain. Egypt is mostly desert, right? But look, here, flowing through the whole length of the country, is the Nile River. It starts in the lands far to the south and travels nearly 4,000 miles to the sea up north. Everything in Egypt happens along the Nile. For one thing, it's like our main road, the very best way for anyone to travel around the country. But even more important than how the Nile carries us is what it brings us. Every year, heavy rains far to the south wash a lot of silt, or weathered rock particles, into the river. Dad says the silt combines with leaves and branches to form a rich mix full of iron, zinc, and other things, kind of like vitamins for the soil. We call this good stuff hoppy. So, every summer, all this water and hoppy flow down the Nile into Egypt, flooding the land for 4 months. When the floodwaters recede, they leave the hoppy behind. It makes the dirt really good for planting. A very long time ago, my ancestors started living along the Nile and planting crops. Then, they had some very smart ideas. First, they dug ditches and canals to trap in the floodwater. Then, during the dry season, they would open the canals and let water flow into the fields. Sometimes the fields were higher than the canals, and it was really hard to carry enough water by hand. So, they invented the shadoof, a long pole with a bucket at one end and a weight at the other. It makes lifting heavy water a lot easier. Delivering water to crops is called irrigation. We are some of the first people to figure out how to do that. Pretty clever, huh?